All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Course Creator Community Podcast. I'm your host, Jono, and I am super excited because we have an absolute rock star on the line this week. Now, I know I say that about every guest every week, but this person is actually a rock star. A little bit about this person. She's an Instagram expert. She's an Instagram Reels expert. And in the last 12 months, she's been able to quit her 9-to-5 job and run a 6-figure online business using just Reels. She's also now a course creator. She's just recently released her course, Relly Confident. I'll put the link in the show notes if you're interested. So without further ado, and the coolest thing about her is she lives in the best city in the world, Sydney, Australia. So without further ado, let me introduce the one and only Shirley Mosad. Shirley, how are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you so much for that kind introduction.
No, I could have kept going, but I'm like, man, I'm going to spend all so podcast kind. Just talking up all her skill set. So I thought I'd cut it there. Let us know what do you, I know I mentioned you're an Instagram expert, you're a Reels expert, but give us a bit more detail there, Shirley. What is it you actually do now at the moment?
Yeah, sure. So I am an Instagram and Reels coach. So I coach my clients on how to show up confidently and consistently, particularly through their Reels, but in all types of content, in a really strategic way for them to not only build a profitable online business, which is, our aim at the end of the day, but to really build community. Because I believe that when you put out your content, if you think of, the funnel, we all know the marketing funnel, but my Reels funnel, when you put out your Reels, you collect the greatest amount of people at the top of that funnel, and you need to relate to them. When people feel like they can relate to you, they're going to go to your profile. And when they go to your profile and they like what they see, then you give them the opportunity through the rest of your content, as you continue to post consistently, to get to know you. And when they get to know you, they trust you because you are showing them parts of yourself and your business and your knowledge that will help them. And then when they get to know you and trust you, they get to like you. And it's at that point where you've built community with people who like you that they're actually wanting to work with you. And there's not much effort involved after that in the whole sales process and all the rest of it, because you've built up community. So that's what I help my clients do, is really build that community with their followers on Instagram, particularly through Reels.
Love it. Motivating. You've motivated me to go and do a Reel now.
Go and make that Reel now, Jono.
I will. All right. So that's great. I want to hear the story though, Shirley. So I saw an Instagram post you made a couple of weeks ago, which was essentially this topic. And I was like, wow, the stage you're at now, and 12 months ago, you had a 9-to-5. So tell us that story. Start where you want to start. And let us know. How'd you go from working that 9-to-5 to now 100% online and doing quite well?
Yeah, thank you. So I am a pharmacist by trade.
There we go. I didn't know that actually.
Yeah, we have mentioned it before, but a lot of people forget because it's not what I do now. Do not ask me any pharmaceutical questions. I am not up to date.
That's your Instagram, right? Safe. People ask you questions about what medication to take?
Absolutely not. So I started off in community pharmacy or retail pharmacy, whatever you want to call it. Then after a couple of years of doing that, I started to do home medication reviews, which is where I actually got to speak to patients by referral from a doctor about their medications, what they should change, provide recommendations to the doctor, and the doctor would then implement that into the patient's medication regime. After that, it became very clear to me that community pharmacy or retail pharmacy was not where I wanted to be, because I really enjoyed that human to human long interaction where I got to change someone's life by doing something and using my knowledge to help them. Then I got a really good opportunity in corporate pharmaceutical. So it's an industry pharma company where I sat on the other side of the marketing team, and I was the person telling them what they could and couldn't say, basically, in their marketing materials based on what agencies had created for them.
Yeah.
So I would look at the scientific evidence and I would say, look, the claim you've made doesn't quite match. This is what you need to change. This is my advice. And I was like the last kind of line of contact. So if anything happened, it was on me.
Yeah.
So I would sit in on these marketing meetings and these agency meetings, And I got such a great exposure to the marketing world and the psychology behind marketing and what people responded to when it came to how you created your message and how you executed that to the right people. And so I then went on to have 3 kids back to back in under 4 years, as you do.
Wow.
Yep.
What's that, twins or?
No.
That's
so
humanly
I now
possible.
have,
That's physically possible, is
absolutely,
it?
yep,
There we
physically
go.
possible. So I have right now, I have a 5-year-old, a 2-year-old about to turn 3, and an 18-month or 20-month-old. So
Wow.
yeah, so it wasn't, so I had, but my last 2 were actually 13 months apart.
Okay.
So at the end of my second parental leave, I extended to have my 3rd child, and I had the 10 months or whatever it was with her. Then it came to a few months before I was going to go back to work. And during the time of my parental leave, I had actually been managing Instagram accounts for a couple of friends.
Gotcha.
They were paying me. I was under like an employment kind of agreement.
Yeah.
And I realized during that time, not only did I absolutely love what I was doing, like putting out their message in content form for people to consume and love, but it was actually generating leads for them, right? Their pages were growing, they were getting DMs, they were making sales. And I was like, you know what, maybe I'm good at this. There might be something in here. Then I upskilled. I went and did courses. I invested in myself. I invested in equipment. And I started to think, okay, if I can do this for them, who else can I do this for? And so a few months before...
Quick question there. Did you have your own Instagram account at that stage, or was this just doing it for other people? Wow. No. Okay.
No. So the Instagram account I have now, I only started less than a year ago. I had one beforehand.
A personal one or a business one?
No, a business one that lasted for maybe 3 or 4 months. I changed my niche after that point, and we can talk about this.
That's a good point.
I started a new one because to revive a dead Instagram account is one thing, but if you know that your entire audience that's there, your entire community, you can't serve them with the new niche that you have, you're better off starting a new one.
That's you know what? Let's spend a minute there because that's such a good point. Do you want to just
absolutely
spend a couple minutes, maybe just expand on that a bit? So it's like, let's set a situation. So someone's got an Instagram account, because I think there's a few things there, and we can let's go both ways. So someone's got an Instagram account, the people following them aren't their ideal person. You're saying just start a new one, right?
You can. That's one of the options.
Yeah.
It's probably the easiest and quickest option to get to where you want to be. So if you want to start using Instagram for business, i.e. make money on Instagram, you need to do something. You need to get good at creating content. What does that mean? It means being yourself and showing up as you, the brand. So defining what that is. And then probably equally as important, not probably, it is equally as important, defining who your ideal audience is. Those two things work hand in hand. I call them the 2 who's of marketing, and they're part of my Reels blueprint. They're one of the first things you need to do before you get good at creating Reels.
Nothing else. If you don't have that, nothing else matters, right?
That's right. It's marketing in a nutshell. So when you combine those 2 things, you get good content for you, for your page. If one of those things is off, your marketing is going to be off. And so when you've got a whole bunch of people, lovely people, your community that you've built, but you can't serve them because your content isn't made for them as your ideal audience, they're not going to respond to that. And we all know what happens when no one engages with our content. The algorithm has no other way to pick up whether a piece of content is good content or bad content except through the engagement. So when your reel doesn't get played all the way through, watch time is the most important metric when it comes to reels. So if your reel isn't played all the way through or multiple times, if your reel doesn't get those comments or those profile clicks, then the reel looks at that. The algorithm looks at that and thinks, this isn't a good piece of content. I'm going to stop showing it to other people, because what's the point if the people that actually follow this person aren't interacting with this reel. Why would I show it to more
To a
people of the
stranger,
same type? Exactly.
Yeah.
And so when you stop creating content for your community, if they're no longer your ideal audience, then it's time to build a different community. And so that's why the best advice I could give is to start a new page. You can start to take out those people that aren't your ideal audience if you feel that they aren't engaging or the content's no longer for them. You can do this by removing followers. Don't do too many of those a day. You'll get blocked off Instagram. Or you can simply start to create content in a different niche. Tell your followers, be upfront and honest on your stories to say, look, I'm taking a shift with my content. This is what you're going to expect from me. If people want to unfollow, that's great. Maybe some of those people, you might find an overlap with them. But what I found was when I went into this really niche of reels, my current overall Instagram strategy, people didn't really want reels. They didn't want to grow their business through reels specifically. Now I've got an amazing community who's constantly wanting to learn more. And I know that I can give them the knowledge and the information they need to grow their accounts through reels. And that lights me up. If I find that it's not just about the engagement and the metrics, it's about who you can truly help with your content. Like if you're on Instagram and you want to build community, it's because you actually care. You want to help people with your content. And so for me, it's more about that than the engagement and all the rest of it. If I can help a bunch of people achieve their business dreams by using something that I know and can teach them, that's it. That's an achievement. That is the achievement with Instagram.
I'll share a couple things there. So I'm not an Instagrammer, right? I'm a Facebook group guy, but it's the exact same thing. It's like if you've got a Facebook group and it's not your niche of people in there, and you just change the name and posting different stuff, like forget about it.
That's right.
And then also the flip side though, I'm curious to hear your opinion on Instagram. In Facebook group, I would say the same thing if it's a dead Facebook group. If you've got a dead Facebook group, you can do things to re-engage it. And you can remove people and whatnot. But I find it's just easier to start again. Like it's more work to, even though, because I think half of it is a vanity metric. You know, hey, I've got, whatever, 1,000, 10,000 people on here. And now I need to start again from zero. It sounds like you're making a backward step. But you're actually not, because it's not that hard to grow if everything's on point. It's not that hard to grow a following.
So I will say this, it's not easy. And I put this on my stories yesterday because someone said, everyone's making it out so easy to grow on Instagram these days. It is not easy, but it is simple. There are simple formulas and steps that you need to take in order to grow your Instagram following, but you do need to be committed. You do need to stay consistent. You do need to, define the two who's of marketing. Exactly. Know your community and know who you are as a brand. So there are things you need to do. You're not going to snap your fingers and all of a sudden you've got a whole bunch of followers. So it does take time. It takes consistency and commitment. But in saying that, it would take much more effort to try and revive a dead Instagram account, because you simply will not reach the right people if your current people aren't engaging with your content.
Yep, I agree. Anyways, let's get back on. That was a bit of a sidetrack. Let's get back on your story. So where were we up to? I think you mentioned you were running your account for a few of your friends. You hadn't started your own account yet. What happened you were just about to go back to work?
That's right. So I was a few months out from going back to work and I decided, you know what, I'm going to start a business with this. So I did all the background stuff, ABN, all the rest of it. And I put out a website and I started. And suddenly I was getting inquiries. So some of them were word of mouth. Some of them were random people maybe searching for social media management online.
What were you, are you doing social media management?
Yes.
Instagram
so my
management?
One service was social media management. So everything, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, you name it. So depending on what service the business owners required. And they were very much business owners, right? So now I coach coaches and service providers. That's my niche.
Gotcha.
Back then it was small business owners.
Gotcha.
So when I found that I was growing this quickly, I knew I had to make a decision about whether I was going to pursue this full time or go back to my full-time job, because I knew that I couldn't give 100% to both.
Yeah.
Having 3 kids under 4,
Yeah.
managing a business,
Yeah.
working a 9 to 5,
Yeah.
and just staying sane, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I was like, and it was a huge decision, right? Like, I'm not a risk taker.
Yeah.
It's a huge decision for someone who generally is happy to take risks, but I
Yeah.
am not a risk taker at all. It's not in my DNA to take risks.
And it sounds like the job sounds like a decent paying job as well, right?
It was an amazing job.
Yeah.
Not only
Yeah.
decent paying, but I loved what I did.
Yeah.
I loved the culture. I was
Yeah.
treated so well. We had all these perks and benefits, like, corporate.
Yeah.
Stability of
Yeah.
income, knowing that that's how much I'm going to get paid.
Yeah.
So I decided to quit.
Tell us more about that. How long were you contemplating? What was your husband saying? What pushed you over the edge?
So for about 2 weeks, I battled, right?
Was that it? I thought you were going to say
no, 2 weeks. 2 weeks was the overlap. So I had already been doing this and getting referrals and starting people up, signing people on.
Yep.
And battling with the idea in my head. But then there was this 2-week overlap where it's all I could think about and all I could talk about. And every night I'd sit down with my husband and we would discuss the pros, the cons. He would ask me, like, what if I told you right now you'd need to completely let go of the business and go back full time? And I was like, I can't do that. And saying that out loud was the thing that pushed me, because I knew I could not let go of my business. If I let go of my 9 to 5, I could get another 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Like, I had experience in the industry. I had the knowledge, the expertise, not that I say this with all humility, but I could go and apply for jobs and I would probably get one with ease.
Yeah.
So maybe to some people that doesn't seem like a huge risk, but when you're out of the game for a long time as well, which I knew I would be if I was going to pursue my business full time, you also, you reduce that chance of finding a good job. You'd need to probably start at a lower point.
Yeah.
So that was the kind of risk assessment that was going on in my head. But when I said it out loud, that I can't let go of this business, of everything I had built in a matter of 2-3 months, I couldn't let it go. My ambition and my drive just could not let me stop that momentum.
Question, I don't know if you can answer this. What was can you give us an indication financially at that stage? Like
At
when
that
you were making
stage,
that decision?
I was on 4 figures. Wait, am I saying this right? Yeah, 4 figures monthly.
Gotcha. Okay.
On the higher end of 4 figures monthly.
Okay.
Because when I would manage someone's account, they would say to me, manage Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, for example. So I would package up deals that would.
Gotcha.
But I will say this, and this might come later on when we talk about what I've learned. When you're packaging up, regardless of what you do, whether you're creating a course or one-on-one coaching or whatever it is you do, don't just assume this is how much people would probably pay me. And don't go off some weird formula or calculation. Do your research. When you have a niche, find out what others in your industry are doing in that niche, not generally what the ballpark figures are. So one of the mistakes I made was starting really low for people to get people on board. And this may be a really good starting point for people, possibly. It could be. And, sometimes I would even advise people, like, you could even do stuff for free to start off your portfolio.
Yeah.
But when it comes to actually charging what you're worth, if you're going to do this and push for it and go for it, really do your research based on facts. Find out what people are paying other people who are doing the exact same service as yours. Because I have a service right now that I don't know many people at all in Sydney are doing.
Yeah, I know. When you told me, I was like, people do that?
Yeah. I go to people's homes, their businesses, wherever they are, their offices, and I film reels for them and I edit them and I give them to them. I find the audios, I come up with the ideas.
You do all of that?
All of that.
Wow. Yeah. That is a good service.
yeah, it's, and there's a need for it. And that's where I found my niche. And so to come up with the pricing for that, I had to go through a whole process, like with my business coach, with, what other people in other parts of Australia are doing, other parts of the world. So there's got to be deep research that goes into it. So, yeah, so back then, monthly, higher 4 figures side.
Gotcha.
And business was coming in. I was getting inquiries. And so
you had momentum.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I was honored and excited and feeling so blessed with all of this momentum, but I learned a lot in those first 6 months.
Okay.
Because when business comes quickly, it's not always a good thing. And sometimes it's a matter of not creating too much for yourself. And what I mean by that is I wanted to do everything. I wanted to do every service under the sun to do with social media. And so anyway, that's a side note, and we can get to that later on. So I made the decision over those 2 weeks. And once I said it out loud that I couldn't let my business go, that's when I called my manager at the time. And I had that difficult conversation, and she was so supportive. Like, she knew I had to disclose any sort of business that I had going on the side so that HR had a record. So she already knew that I was doing this while I was on maternity leave. So it wasn't really unexpected, but I don't think she thought I would actually go ahead and quit my job. So it was a difficult conversation to have, and I did really love my job. So it was really emotional for me, lots of stuff going on. So bittersweet. And after that point, I didn't actively pursue any business. I started an Instagram account, which isn't the one that I have now. So like I said, I did start a business one beforehand.
Wait, hold on. Let me get my head around this. When you were getting all these inquiries, that was on your old Instagram account?
That was on nothing.
How'd you get them?
So word of mouth. People, so on Facebook groups. So this is another amazing thing about Facebook groups. I was part of business groups that I had just joined, and people were saying that, is there such a thing as someone managing my Instagram? And I was like, I can do that. So it was mainly word of mouth and free advertising. And so after that point, when I was like, you know what, I'm going to go for this, then I started my old Instagram business account. But I was not posting consistent. I wasn't doing anything that I was doing for my clients. I've learned since then. And if you're in this field, if you're listening right now and you're in this social media management field, your account is one of your clients. Treat your account like it's one of your clients' accounts, because that's the only way you're going to grow. And it's a free portfolio. So that was my first account. I posted really inconsistently. I tried to, make it work with my schedule, but I wasn't using the same principles, and I wasn't finding time to work on my business. All I was doing was working in my business. So that's why I started this new account mid last year. So, after that point, I just became obsessed with helping people realize, it's a realization. You realize you can actually use social media as a free marketing tool just by simply tweaking a few things, defining a few things, and creating good content that people are attracted to. And it's a combination, right? You can't just post reels and expect sales to come through the door. When people book me because of my reels, they book me because they've been watching my reels for a while, or they've seen one really great one, in the reels space. Then they watch my stories. Then it's usually a reply in response to my stories in my DMs. And the DMs is where the magic happens on Instagram for sales. So it's all one big strategy, and it all works together. But reels have by far the highest reach, but they also have the biggest opportunity to show who you are as a brand and show your personality, while also reaching the right people and relating to them on such a personal level. Like, when you're going through reels, if you see a product, you may not immediately be drawn to that product because you don't know what benefits that product would have for you. If you see a person rock up and they're not even talking about their product, but they're giving you advice, a piece of bite-sized information that could change your life, still within the niche of that product, but it's them teaching you, and you go and implement that advice and it changes your life in some way, you're going to follow that person and you're going to want to buy their product. So no other format has that ability to reach people and directly give them that information that's so easy to consume, but also so informative and so entertaining and so inspiring and motivational. So that's why Reels then became my niche. And I started this new account and I went hard with the Reels and I posted good Reels on my own account as well as my clients. Then I started coaching my clients in what they should do themselves. So during my filming sessions, there's a lot of coaching that goes on. Most of my filming clients, though, it's called Reels to Go. People who book that service, they'll book me every 6 to 8 weeks so that I can continue to film for them. But for those who want to do it themselves, there's a lot of coaching that goes on. And during those coaching sessions for the Reels, I realized that people lacked that understanding, or they couldn't quite grasp the concept of personal brand. And that is one thing that no one's talking about except me. I'm talking about it. And the importance of bringing your personal brand, regardless of what type of reel you're creating, bringing your personal brand into your reels so that you have a way of personally connecting with your audience. And so that's exactly why I created the program, so that I could teach more people at once and coach them into creating reels that will make them stand out. So many of my clients during our coaching sessions would say, my niche is too saturated. I get on Instagram and every second reel of mine is something that I was thinking of doing. And I just feel like everyone's doing the same thing and I have no way to stand out. Oh, but you do, right? Everyone's got that thing that will help them stand out. It's a matter of defining your personal brand, because if you don't define your personal brand, your audience is going to do it for you. Whether you like it or not, you are going to be seen in some way, in some light online. It's up to you to build what that definition is by continuously hammering it home in every single piece of content you have. But before you do all that, you need to define it. So the conversations that were happening in my coaching were what led me to creating this course into a simple, implementable, is that a word?
I think so.
Program that would help people reach that point of being really confident.
Let's pivot there and let's speak about the course. And I'll put the link down in the show notes. And I agree 100% with Reels. I think pretty much every platform, either way, on Instagram, I think I shouldn't say the only, it's the best way to grow by far on Instagram, Reels. And as Shirley mentioned, it is just the top of the funnel. It's not like you'll do Reels and sales will start coming in. There's a whole lot going on, but that will be the quickest and easiest way to grow. Let's speak about this course, Shirley. So let's start with, is it live? It's live now, the course, right?
It is. So we've just had our first kickoff session last week. It's not too late to join, because all of the live coaching calls are in our Facebook group.
Gotcha.
So you can go back, you've got lifetime access, watch it as many times as you like. There are Q&A sessions as well, which is really beneficial if you are attending live, opportunities to submit those questions beforehand. It's a 5-week live course, 1 to 2 1-hour trainings in every week, mostly one per week. As well as Q&A opportunities and support through the Facebook group. So a lot of my students right now are asking questions and we're all talking about it together. Right now, their homework after the first session is to define their niche and optimize their profile, because the profile, if your profile isn't optimized, when someone sees your reel and then jumps, I call them profile landers. When you get a profile lander, you're not going to convert them to a follower if your profile isn't optimized. So it's the first step in growing your account with Reels. So that's their homework right now. So we're all talking about that on our Facebook group.
Question. After this 5 weeks, is it going to be an on-demand course or is it always going to be a live one?
It's all, well, for the next Yeah, both. So for the next 2 or 3 times that I run it, I'm going to run it live. And then after that point, it'll probably be more of a low touch point recorded course. And I'll do that in my own time outside of the live sessions, so that I pack all of the information that I've, had over the course of the 3 that I've run live, and it'll all be there to download. And again, lifetime access. So that's the idea. I do really like the idea of having it live because I love the live energy. You get to ask all of the questions you have. I love live, but I think
both are good. My take for the listeners anyway is I'm more an on-demand guy, just because I'm I like the passive income side of things.
Yeah.
I just want to, I'm happy to speak to people. I love speaking to people, but I much prefer, hey, here's the course, go and do it. Let me know if you need anything. I like that side of things.
Yeah.
Not everyone is like that though. But it can be a good idea to do both. You just charge more for the coaching one. It's like, great, here's the on-demand one. It's a little bit cheaper. I'm still here if you need anything, but you go at your own pace.
Yeah.
Or we have, a 5-week or 6-week or course or whatever it is, and it's a higher price point.
Yeah, see, that's so insightful, because I think it does come down to the touch points and the proximity, right?
Yeah.
Like if your students have constant access to you, that's your time being taken away from other coaching that you could be doing. So I do agree. And I think eventually I would want to do both. For now, with my Reels filming, and I still do manage quite a few social media accounts, as well as doing this course. I think right now live is, and recorded, it's still there, is probably best for me. But I love your insight on that.
Sweet. All right, let me know the software side of things, Shirley. So in terms of the what platform are you using to host it? What platforms are you using for your marketing? What can you tell us about the software?
So my landing page, my sales page, is through Leadpages.
Gotcha.
I did that because I wanted something quick, really, really easy to edit templates, and I just wanted to get it out there. So I haven't done a massive amount of research, but the people who had gone before me and done this kind of thing, they recommended that. I would love to hear recommendations after I tell you what I'm using.
Yep.
And then I don't really do much marketing outside of Instagram and emails. So all of my sales have come through my Instagram stories.
Gotcha.
And the way I do that is, and you probably do the same, not necessarily through stories, but just generally, is I tell my audience what I know that they are experiencing. So what they want to hear, and speak in the language they will understand. Then I tell them that this is actually what you're missing. So I tell them what they need to hear, not only what they want to hear. And then I tell them, hey, I've got the solution for this.
Yep.
It's the program. This is what you're going to get out of it. This is how it's going to change how you feel. And this is how it's going to change your life. If you want to join, come join the party, right? So I'm not your salesy girl. I'm not there yet. I hate, I don't like selling, right? It's not, but I love helping people. And I know the only way that I can help people is to get them into my world. And so that's the marketing method that I use, more attraction marketing than, hard lead generation marketing. And on email, I do the same thing, but most of my emails have email address, like my list has come from my Instagram stories asking people to, join a wait list for masterclasses or, join my general mailing list. So it's all kind of come through Instagram, but I do both avenues of marketing.
Gotcha.
For the course.
Just quickly with that, what software, what email marketing software?
Oh, sorry, Mailchimp.
Gotcha. Yep, cool.
I'm sure you can recommend something better. I haven't heard great things, but it's where I started, and it's just something that it's on my list, right? This is what I mean about working on your business. There are all these background things that are going on, but you could make your business so much more efficient if you set better processes in place. And it's creating that time to work on your business instead of in your business. And both are important, but they're equally important. So that's one lesson I learned very quickly when I first started out.
Okay. And course hosting, what platform?
So I do Zoom, like I record our Zooms, and then I actually upload the recording. So I download the recording from the Zoom cloud, and then I upload it onto YouTube as an unlisted video. And then I post that link in the Facebook group.
Gotcha.
Under
Awesome.
guides. So all of the materials that they will need to refer back to are under guides in the Facebook group.
Love it. Okay. Yeah, I'll give some recommendations. Quick.
Yes, please.
What do you pay for Leadpages and Mailchimp?
Oh my gosh, Leadpages is expensive. I think it was $800 a year or something, or $900 a year.
Gotcha.
Mailchimp,
so about $100 a month kind of thing.
Yeah. Mailchimp, I want to say it's like $34 a month.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll tell you the breakdown, right?
Yes, please.
So, and I think this will be good for the listeners as well. The way I look at course hosting platforms, you've kind of, and like the marketing, the email, all of that kind of thing, right? You've kind of got two options. You can pick the separate stuff, which is kind of what you've done, right?
Yep.
I've got my landing pages on Leadpage, my email on Mailchimp, and my course hosting platform in a Facebook group, right? Or a lot of people do that, or they might use something like the free version of Thinkific or Teachable and put the course on there, right?
Yep.
Nothing wrong with that. It's just a bit disjointed. So I prefer the all-in-ones because there's platforms where you can do all of that, right? There's two, and I'll mention both of them and the pros and cons. And actually, I'll mention now. So either Kajabi or New Zenler. So with both of those, you can have your landing lead pages on there. You can do your email marketing on there, and you can also host your course on there, and you can also do your Zoom calls and webinars and on that as well. So it's kind of got like, did you have a question there?
Yeah. So once you host your course on there, like with something like Kajabi, could you have all of your recordings like to sell passively as well?
Yep.
Could you?
Yep. You can do as many as you want on there. So like, and even out of those, so they're the two best by far, right? The difference is mainly in the price. Right. So Kajabi ranges from $100 a month to $400 a month. Now, $100 a month is not too bad. It's still cheaper than what you're paying now, and it's probably better, right? The limitation is you can't do everything with $100 a month. I think you can have 3 courses or something, and you have a free course and then a paid course, and you got one left, and you got to. So it moves up pretty quick. But it's really good. So that's that. You can start with $100, but just be prepared. You're going to end up paying $200 and then probably $400, right? New Zenler, not quite as good as Kajabi. Doesn't quite look as nice, and it's just a little clunkier. But it's $67 a month for everything.
Wow!
So I recommend someone with their first course anyway, like $67 a month. It's half of what you're paying at the moment, and you can do everything on there. You know, so. That's why I recommend everyone start New Zenler $6-7 a month. If you like it, stay on there. If it gets to a point you're like, I want to go to Kajabi, sweet, go to Kajabi later on. But they're the two I would recommend, either Kajabi or New Zenler. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
New Zenler's got a free version as well, so you can check that out if you want.
Yeah, cool.
Kajabi only has a free trial, but it's still. I even think Kajabi's lead pages are just as good, if not better, than Leadpages.
Okay.
And I think their email marketing is just as good, if not better, as Mailchimp. So
all right,
you want to check out Kajabi, and at least it's the one, and you're not paying 3 different things. It's probably going to be the same price anyway.
And I guess once you start growing beyond those 3 or 4 courses that you're limited to hosting on Kajabi, it's worth that extra investment for the streamline, effect. So
exactly. Because the other
definitely be checking those out.
Well, the other thing, do you use Zapier at all?
No.
Because that might be, if you're using different things, sometimes you need Zapier to zap them all across.
All right.
Whereas if everything's just on Kajabi, it's all New Zenler, it's so much easier.
Oh, I'm all for streamlining. If everything's in one place, I'm sweet. I'm happy. All right. That's good to know.
100%. Hey, want to be sensitive of your time, Shirley? So there's just a question I like to finish up with, which is essentially around mentors. You mentioned earlier on in the podcast, you did some investing in yourself, in some courses. So I'm curious to hear who your biggest mentors have been. If you could answer it in 3 different ways, if you could give us a paid mentor or your best paid mentor that you paid money to and did their course or program, a free mentor, so you haven't paid them, but you follow them on social, their Instagram, YouTube, whatever it may be, and a book that you recommend every course or online business person should read if they want to be successful.
Yeah, cool. So look, I don't know about a book recommendation. I can't promise you because I don't have time to read. How bad is that? Oh God. But I do a lot of reading online, articles like, so what I recommend from that perspective, and I'm answering this backwards here, but what I recommend from that perspective is just keeping up to date with, like for me, especially with socials, with course creators like yourself, and finding out what other people are doing, reading any articles that come out, any changes in the industry. So that's what I like to do from a reading perspective. My biggest paid mentor that I've engaged as a business and marketing coach is Emily Sincotta. So she launched her first Instagram account for her business, The Launch Babe, and she gained over 30,000 followers within, I think it was 2 or 3 months or something.
Oof.
Yeah. And then what she did is what I did. And she said, scrap this. I'm about to change my niche. I no longer speak to my audience the way that I want to, according to what, the pivot that I want to take. And she started her new account, which is It's Emily Sincotta. But she actually has a marketing degree, right? And she worked for a 7-figure product business and was doing all of their behind the scenes. She got to see everything that went on behind the marketing. And now she shares all of her insights on social. So she's amazing. So amazing mentor, knows so much. She helps you get that momentum in your business and keep it. And she's all about course creation and passive income and all the rest of it. So she finds ways for you to create that in your business. So she has been absolutely incredible. On socials, I love to follow Stephen Miller. You probably, have heard of him or follow him. Oh, he's so good. His principles are just so straightforward, easy to understand, and he just gets the message across. He has like I'd say his point of difference, or his thing that helps him really stand out, is he sketches everything.
What's his name?
So you'll find
I'm going to look him up now.
Stephen Miller. So Stephen with a V and Mellor. So he will sketch while he's talking. Well, I'm sure it's not simultaneously, but he'll sketch out exactly the message he wants to give, to his followers, and he'll talk over it, describing exactly what's going on. And so it's the art of storytelling. So you see this process happening before your eyes, and you're listening to how it can be implemented. And so I just think what he's done is so clever, like massive following. He's incredible. So love following him. I also obviously love the obvious Gary V. Never fails to disappoint with his motivation and his insights. And Janae Rose is also another one. So she's so inspirational. Like she's got a course as well. And she basically does what all Instagram coaches and social media coaches do, but she's just so insightful. When you follow those people where you're like, you're saying something different to what the rest of them are saying. Tell me more. So she's very much like that. So that's what I like to follow her for.
Awesome. All right. Well, Shirley, I'm sure there's going to be a heap of people listening to this that are like, okay, this woman is awesome. She's inspirational. She knows her stuff about reels. I want to follow her. Best place to follow you, I'm guessing, is Instagram.
Yep. Instagram is my go-to. It's my jam.
Give your Instagram a plug. What's your handle?
It's social.shirley, social Shirley.
Awesome. I'll put that link in the show notes too.
Thank you.
Shirley, that's everything I wanted to get through today. Is there anything I should have asked you but forgot to, or anything you want to finish us off with? Not
really. I think you nailed it. I think we did well. Hopefully the listeners get something out of this.
Awesome. All right, Shirley, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Jono. Appreciate it.